Don't blink, otherwise you might miss a goal, or 14. Welcome to From Center Ice, my name is Courtney, and once again I am here to recap the night that was in NHL playoff hockey. And now we are into conference final playoff hockey. We have moved past the second round. There are only 4 teams remaining. Out east, we have the New York Rangers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa swept the Florida Panthers in 4 games, and the New York Rangers took the Carolina Hurricanes to 7. And you could say that one was somewhat of an upset. But that is not what I am here to talk about, because tonight, Tuesday night, was the beginning of the Western Conference Final. And in the West, we have the Colorado Avalanche and the Edmonton Oilers. Knowing the firepower that both of these teams have, one could have assumed that there would be a lot of goals in this series. The top 5 scorers for both teams in the playoffs so far have at least 10 points. On the Colorado Avalanche, coming into this game tonight, Nathan MacKinnon was leading the way. He had 8 goals and 5 assists for 13 points. Cale Makar was up next with 3 goals and 10 assists for 13 points. Third was the captain, Gabriel Landeskog, 6 goals and 5 assists for 11 points. In fourth was the magic assist man, Mikko with 1 goal and 10 assists for 11 points. And finally, in that 5th spot was Nazem Kadri with 5 goals and 5 assists for 10 points. Then, on the Edmonton side of things coming into tonight's game, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl were leading the way. Both guys had 7 goals and 19 assists for 26 points in 12 games. That is more than 2 points per game in the playoffs so far. In third was Evander Kane with 12 goals and 3 assists for 15 points. Just to show you how ridiculous that is, the top 2 guys had 26 points. The guy in third had 11 less points at 15. McDavid and Draisaitl are a 2-headed monster. But in fourth was Zach Hyman with 8 goals and 4 assists for 12 points. And last but not least, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with 4 goals and 7 assists for 11 points. And the starting goaltenders on both sides were Mike Smith for the Edmonton Oilers, who tends to give up quite a few goals. And on the Colorado side, we have Darcy Kuemper, who has the worst save percentage remaining in the playoffs. So buckle up. And to talk about this game 1 that occurred tonight, we might as well just jump into the goals. Now, usually I record these if I do them the night of, pretty soon after the game ended, but I had to take a little over an hour to make notes on all of the goals that were scored tonight. Usually I can just remember the goals if there is only 1 game on per night, but then there are nights like tonight where it was basically 3 games in 1. So let's just talk about them, shall we? 5 minutes and 4 seconds into the first period, Kailer Yamamoto gets the puck on the left wall in the defensive zone. He passes it off to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to break out of the zone. Nugent-Hopkins sees Evander Kane breaking down the center of the ice. He tosses a pass up ahead. Evander Kane skates into the puck, and he basically has a breakaway from the blue line in on Darcy Kuemper, and he just shovels it over the glove. 1-0 Edmonton. Here we go again. In the second round, up against the St. Louis Blues, the first 4 games of that series, St. Louis scored first. Now, luckily for the Avalanche, they won 3 of those 4 games, and then once the Avs did manage to score first in Game 5, they lost in overtime. So I wasn't too bummed out when Kane got the first goal in this game here, but I was very curious if it was going to work out the same way that it did in the second round, where they would be able to claw their way back, tie it up, and then get the lead. Well, 36 seconds later, 5 minutes and 40 seconds into the first period, Andrei Burakovsky forces Edmonton to turn the puck over on the back check as Bowen Byram tries to clear it out of the defensive zone, but it doesn't quite get out. Burakovsky passes the puck up to Alex Newhook, who is breaking down the center of the ice. Alex Newhook and JT Compher break in to the offensive zone. They've got a 2-on-2 going. Newhook waits, and then he passes the puck through Duncan Keith to hit JT Kuemper, who wasted no time sending that puck over Mike Smith into the net. Tie game. And one thing that the Avalanche did very well here in game 1 was passing the puck through defenders. Now, I wouldn't advise that they just think this is going to happen every game, since Calgary really tried to go that route there in round 2 against Edmonton, and it got to a point where they were just sending pucks into the skates of Edmonton defenders or just hitting them with the stick and turning the puck over immediately, and it got so frustrating to watch. But in this game 1, the Avalanche were doing that very well, finding those really tight passing lanes through sticks and skates. We will see if that continues, but in this one, it worked out. And just under 10 minutes later, 15 minutes and 10 seconds into the first period, Darcy Kuemper stops a dumped-in puck just in his crease there, passes it off to Cale Makar, who is behind the net. Edmonton decides to pressure Makar behind the net with a strong forecheck, so Makar tosses the puck up to Devon Toews, who is standing on the right wall. Toews skates up to the defensive blue line and hits Nathan MacKinnon on the opposing blue line. MacKinnon picks up the puck, just skates around Darnell Nurse like he was just merely an obstacle in his way. He takes the puck all the way to the net himself, and just as Mike Smith is going for the poke check, Nathan MacKinnon just shovels the puck 5-hole. 2-1 Avalanche. And that goal was so beautiful. Now, it was not as perfect and fantastic and sick as his goal in Game 5 was to get the hat trick, but oh my goodness, Nathan MacKinnon is a naughty, naughty man. He is sending a lot of people to take showers during these games because these goals that he is scoring are just nasty. Moving on, 19 minutes and 37 seconds into the first period, so with time winding down, 23 seconds to go, if you will, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, dear God, break into the offensive zone, have a little give and go with each other. You know, just casually playing a little catch with the puck there in the first period. Connor McDavid ends up with the puck, skates it to the top of the right circle, then drops it down to the right corner to Brett Kulak. He hangs on to it for a second, surveys his options, and then he sees it. Zach Hyman, the one and only, standing on the far side of the net. Brett Kulak sends the puck through the blue paint, and you know it, Zach Hyman is there to bang in the puck whether it looks like there is a defender there or not. When are the right side defenders for the Colorado Avalanche going to defend? How many times do I have to yell about this, that the defenders on Darcy Kuemper's stick side need to help him out? Because St. Louis caught on that it just appears to be a hologram of a defender and they don't actually do anything. So they kept hammering that side of the net with the cross ice pass, and then there was a guy right there to bang the puck in, and most of the time it tied the game up, just like it did here. 2-2. But with 14 seconds to go, the heavens opened up and delivered onto the ice the Stroop Waffle Angel that is known as Cale Makar. And as the Edmonton Oilers try to clear the puck out to the neutral zone, it gets knocked down there at the red line, and Cale Makar, Stroop Waffle Angel, ends up with the puck. He settles it down as his teammates get onside. Then he skates it into the zone, gets to the top of the right circle, and just rips a wrist shot past Mike Smith. Oh my God, the Colorado Avalanche have a 3-2 lead. And oh no, we're going to a review. Why is there always a goal review? I started having flashbacks from Game 5 in Calgary, where that was definitely a goal and was not a distinct kicking motion. But here we go. The Edmonton Oilers are reviewing for offside. Now, after looking at the replay, the officials and the guys up in Toronto in the war room decided that the play was onside, therefore it remained a good goal. And of course, this was controversial because because it was a goal review. And from the initial angle that they showed this play, it seemed obvious. Yeah, that's offside, because it looked like the puck was on Cale Makar's stick as Valeri Nichushkin was still in the offensive zone. But I'm going to try my best to explain this in a way that makes sense, because I did consult the trusty NHL rulebook, but there was nothing explicitly written in there that would properly explain why this was allowed to be a goal. I will try to find some good screenshots to go along with my explanation here, so if I did find them, then you're going to be looking at those. If not, you're just going to see me trying to explain this to you. So, Cale Makar has the puck in the neutral zone. Before the puck got out to the neutral zone, it was in the Avs offensive zone, also known as the Edmonton Oilers defensive zone. Edmonton got the puck, cleared it out, that's how Cale Makar got it, and Nichushkin was in on the forecheck trying to get the puck. And in order for a play to be offside, this part I will actually read to you. Rule 83.1 in the NHL rulebook. Players of the attacking team must not precede the puck into the attacking zone. The position of the player's skates, and not that of his stick, shall be the determining factor in all instances in deciding an offside. A player is offside when both skates are completely over the leading edge of the blue line involved in the play. A player is onside when either of his skates are in contact with the blue line or on his own side of the line at the instant the puck completely crosses the leading edge of the blue line. On his own side of the line shall be defined as a plane of the blue line, which shall extend from the leading edge of the blue line upwards, so toward the ceiling, which they just added so a skate can now be in the air and be considered onside. If a player's skate has yet to break the plane prior to the puck completely crossing the leading edge, he is deemed to be onside for the purpose of the offside rule. So on this play, both of Valeri Nichushkin's skates were in the offensive zone to begin with. Both of Cale Makar's skates were in the neutral zone, so they had not broken the plane. Now, here's where it got a bit dicey and people seemed to get confused. So Cale Makar had possession of the puck. That was never in question. He touched the puck before it completely crossed the blue line while Nichushkin's skates were still offside. But Makar's skates remained onside until Nichushkin then touched up at the blue line. And Makar did not then touch the puck again until Nichushkin had touched up at the blue line, making him onside and making the play able to continue. So had either of these two things happened, being one, Cale Makar had touched the puck while Nichushkin's skates were still in the offensive zone, that would have been offside. Had Makar's skates broken the plane before Nichushkin touched up, that would have been offside. So since Makar touched the puck before it had completely crossed the blue line and his skates had him in a position to where he was not offside, the play was allowed to continue and it was ruled a good goal. To maybe make it make a little bit more sense, imagine that Cale Makar was at the red line at center ice and he dumped the puck into the offensive zone and it just kind of died at the half wall, let's say. And no defending player touched it, it was just a loose puck. But Valeri Nichushkin was still in the offensive zone, but he touches up before any other Colorado Avalanche player enters the offensive zone. That play would be onside and they would be allowed to go for said loose puck. It was a play like that, except the puck was a lot closer to Cale Makar in this instance. I don't know if that helped to clarify anything or if I ended up making it more confusing, which is also quite possible, but basically, since Cale Makar did not touch the puck before Valeri Nichushkin touched up at the blue line, the play remained onside and it was a good goal. Whew! I am at 30 minutes on the raw recording here and I am only at the end of the first period. Now, I did stumble over myself quite a bit trying to explain that, so it's probably way less time while you're watching this. Anyway, the game went 3-2 into the first intermission. On to the second period. And since Edmonton had challenged that goal and it failed, The Avs were on a power play. You know, just to dig the knife in a little further there. And 32 seconds into the second period, Cale Makar on the power play breaks into the offensive zone down the middle of the ice. He sends a pass over to the right wall where Mikko is waiting for it. Rantanen sends a sweet little backhand pass right to Nazem Kadri, who is just standing right in the slot in front of Mike Smith. The initial shot is stopped, but Naz sticks with it. He finds the loose puck and buries it into the empty side of the net. 4-2. Avalanche. Oh, how the tables have turned. But 2 minutes and 59 seconds into the second period, Ryan McLeod gets the puck in the defensive zone. He passes it off to Darnell Nurse, who breaks out with it and enters the offensive zone at the right point. He handed the puck off to his teammate Warren Foegele, who was waiting right there with him, and Foegele skated up to the top of the right circle, took a wrist shot, but that shot was saved. But Darcy Kuemper didn't soak it up, and the puck just kind of died next to him. And Ryan McLeod, who started this whole play, just fought through Josh Manson hooking him and bashed the loose puck into the net. 4-3. Colorado. That one looked like maybe it hit Kuemper a little high, maybe in the collarbone region, so it could have stung him a bit, but man, that puck just laid next to him, free for McLeod to poke it in. That's a rough one. But 4 minutes and 38 seconds into the second period, Artturi Lehkonen jumps up to keep the puck at the blue line and dumps it down into the right circle before getting absolutely blasted by an Edmonton player. Luckily for the Avalanche, but unlucky for the Oilers, Nathan MacKinnon was down there in the corner to pick up the puck. He skated the puck up to the right point and then just dished it off to Mikko Rantanen, who was entering the zone on the left side. Mikko skated up to that left faceoff dot and just ripped a shot short side there on Mike Smith. It went off his arm or his stick, doesn't matter, it was in. And Mikko Rantanen has finally scored on a goaltender in the playoffs. 5-3. Colorado. We are less than 5 minutes into the second period and the score is 5-3. This game was insane. But 6 minutes and 20 seconds into the second period, JT Compher has the puck behind the net. He sends it up to the left point to Cale Makar. Makar sends the puck over to his buddy Devon Toews at the right point. Toews takes a shot, but it is blocked by Evander Kane. Thankfully, it just pops right back down in front of him. Toews picks up the puck, sends it back over to Cale Makar. Makar absolutely blasts a one-timer toward the net, but it is not his goal. It goes off of JT Compher. That is his second goal of the night, and that makes it 6-3 Avalanche. And goodbye, Mike Smith. For the second time in a row to start a series, Mike Smith has been pulled in Game 1. Now, against Calgary, he was pulled less than 10 minutes into Game 1. This time he lasted just over 26 minutes and gave up 6 goals. So off he goes, and Mikko Koskinen came into the game. And almost exactly a minute later, 7 minutes and 19 seconds into the second period, Darcy Kuemper left the game and Pavel Francouz had to come in for the Colorado Avalanche. And at first people were saying it was just an equipment issue since he seemed to have a skate issue before coming out for the second period, but then he still wasn't coming back, and he still wasn't coming back, and he still wasn't coming back, and then it was confirmed that he has an upper body injury and he missed the rest of the game. And there hasn't really been an update since. He's still being evaluated, but Jared Budnar said that it's possible that he misses some time. So Pavel Francouz is the guy. Here we go. Both backups are in the net in this game. So all 4 goaltenders have now seen action in Game 1. And 16 minutes and 20 seconds into the second period, Jack Johnson is battling for the puck in the corner with Zach Kassian. He gets the puck up to Logan Connor, who is able to skate it out of their own end and breaks into the offensive zone down the right wing. Luckily for him, there's really only one defender back in Evan Bouchard, and Logan O'Connor has a friend with him in Andrew Cogliano. Now, remember JT Compher's first goal where Alex Newhook sent the puck through Duncan Keith over to Compher? Well, Logan O'Connor sends the puck through Evan Bouchard over there to Andrew Cogliano, who then puts the puck past Mikko Koskinen. 7-3 Avalanche. And then because Bouchard was skating backwards and Koskinen was all sorts of out of his crease, Bouchard ended up tripping over him and falling right on Mikko Koskinen's head, which I thought that the concussion spotters should have definitely taken him out of the game for that, since it looked like his mask kind of bounced off the ice. But what do I know, I guess? He was able to stay in the game, didn't look any worse for the wear, but I hope they do check him out after the game. And 31 seconds later, 16 minutes and 51 seconds into the second period, Devon Toews tries to break the puck out after Cale Makar is stung by blocking a shot, but Evander Kane keeps the puck in at the left point. It bounces down to Leon Draisaitl, and then the Edmonton Oilers basically have a 2-on-1 with Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid against Cale Makar, who is stung by a shot block. So you have a 2-on-1 with a two-headed monster against basically a quarter of a defenseman because he's in pain from blocking a Draisaitl shot. And since Leon Draisaitl is very good at shooting the puck, Pavel Francouz has to respect the shot there, but Leon Draisaitl decides not to shoot the puck. He sends it over across the ice to Connor McDavid, who just bangs it home into the wide open net because Francouz went on an adventure. I say you have to respect the shot, but the guy on the other side of the ice is Connor McDavid, and you have a quarter of a defenseman in front of you. I would suggest maybe not playing so aggressive there, because once Draisaitl made that pass across the ice to Connor McDavid, there was no getting back into position for Francouz because he was so far out. Now, I'm also not going to fully blame him for that, because Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid and a quarter of a defenseman and a backup goaltender who didn't think he was going to play tonight. Anyway, the second period ends and the Colorado Avalanche have a 7-4 advantage. This game was insane. On to the third period. And 3 minutes and 28 seconds into the third period, the Colorado Avalanche broke my brain. That's right, I have officially lost it, and it is all due to the Colorado Avalanche and their quote-unquote defense. So, the Edmonton Oilers are in the offensive zone. Evan Bouchard has the puck at the right point, and he winds up for a shot and really leans into it, and it is blocked by Andrei Burakovsky. Now, if you watched the games between the Oilers and the Calgary Flames, there were a few times in that series where Evan Bouchard absolutely bombed the puck into the net, and this looked like it could have been one of those. Instead, he bombed it into Andrei Burakovsky, who was then just down on the ice in pain. Which, you know, I feel it, because that's how I felt watching this goal back and watching the defense. So after Evan Bouchard tries to break Andrei Burakovsky and he's just down in pain, the play is allowed to go on, and of course the puck comes back to Evan Bouchard, who takes another shot, but it goes wide, it ends up behind the net. Zach Kassian is there. He sends the puck to the right side of the net where it looks like maybe Warren Foegele got a touch on it or an Avs defenseman got a touch on it. Either way, it looked like a nice little one-touch pass, because instead of taking the shot from the right side of the net there, which, you know, is usually a good thing because the Avalanche defense on the right side of the ice on their goaltender's stick side is just non-existent, but not this time, because all of the defenders were on the right side. When I say defend the right side of the net, this is not what I mean. This is not what I mean. Because off of that little one-touch pass, that puck goes right to Derek Ryan, who is open all alone in front of the net because all of the defenders are on the right side of the net. And poor JT Kuemper is just caught in no man's land because he's like, where did all of my teammates go? They don't go on that side of the ice, so I think they're all invisible now. And Derek Ryan has an easy chance to just shoot that puck into the open side of the net, which he does. Look at this again. This broke my brain. I have been saying for days now, maybe even a week now, maybe even longer than a week now. I don't know. I'm not gonna go back and look. But the Avalanche defenders on the right side of the ice need to help out their goaltenders. But not like this. The Avalanche defense is going to be the death of me, and they're not even my team. You'd think if I could survive a season of this Blackhawks defense that I just lived through, that this wouldn't be so bad. But these games actually matter. And the defenders just seem to be like, we can score goals, right? We can score our way out of all of these problems. I don't have to stand here and like defend the net and do my job, because then we'll just go score goals and Nathan MacKinnon will do things and Cale Makar will do things offensively, even though he's supposedly a defenseman. Anyway, the Colorado Avalanche defense breaking my brain resulted in the game being 7-5 in favor of Colorado. It was getting way too close for comfort. It's still a 2-goal lead, right? In the third period, they have 7 goals. How many more could they possibly need? Well, 12 minutes and 36 seconds into the third period, Zach Hyman attempts a stuff shot on that right side of the net on the stick side, but Pavel Francouz makes the stop. It's so beautiful. I haven't seen anything like that in the playoffs from this team so far. But Ryan Nugent-Hopkins gets the puck on the left wall, sends it behind the net to Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid passes it to Leon Draisaitl at the bottom of the right circle, and Draisaitl just touches it back to Connor McDavid, who then just skates it to the top of the right corner. And guess what he does? He sends a nice little no-look pass to Leon Draisaitl, who's standing right next to the net. Why am I taking you through all of these passes between McDavid and Draisaitl? Because yeah, Edmonton may have been on the power play, but where is the defense? You're just going to allow Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl to just, play a little catch with the puck and just hypnotize you into doing absolutely nothing? Yep, because right after McDavid finds Leon Draisaitl with that nice little no-look pass on the side of the net there, Draisaitl looks around, sees what's going on, sees Cale Makar standing right in front of Pavel Francouz, not really doing anything, not guarding the back door on the stick side of his goaltender. Instead, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is over there, and Draisaitl just sends a pass in between Cale Makar and Pavel Francouz right to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who is on the far stick side, who just bangs it into the net because there is no defense. 7-6, Colorado. I told you it was too close for comfort. And then after Edmonton pulls Mikko Koskinen for the extra attacker, all I am seeing in my head are horror visions of those games against the St. Louis Blues where they would have all sorts of offensive zone pressure while they were trying to tie up the game at the end of the third period, and then they would find the guy on the back door on the stick side and they would just jam it home and tie the game. But 19 minutes and 38 seconds into the third period, the puck is out in the neutral zone. The Edmonton net is empty. Edmonton tries to pass it back into the offensive zone, but the captain, Gabriel Landeskog, picks off that pass, skates it down the left wing into the offensive zone where there is no goaltender because the net is empty, and he puts the puck into the empty net to seal the game. 8-6, Colorado. And that's how the game ended, and I'm finally done talking about goals that happened in this game. 14 goals! We haven't seen anything like that since Game 1 between Edmonton and Calgary, where there were 15 goals. Oh, the West never disappoints. But even though there were 14 goals scored in this game, there was only one player who had multiple goals, and that was JT Kuemper, one of the heroes of Game 6 in St. Louis. It's crazy. It's just crazy. Now, there were a lot of guys who had multiple points. We'll start with Edmonton. And of course, leading the way, Connor McDavid, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. Draisaitl, 2 assists. Evander Kane, 1 goal, 1 assist. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 1 goal, 1 assist. And then the Avalanche. Cale Makar, 1 goal, 2 assists. Devon Toews, 2 assists. Almost said Jonathan Toews there. Haven't talked about the Blackhawks in a while, but you know, they're just always there. Mikko Rantanen. My boy finally scores on a goaltender. I mean, it was Mike Smith. 1 goal, 1 assist. The captain, Gabriel Landeskog, 1 goal, 1 assist. JT Kuemper, 2 goals. And Nathan MacKinnon, 1 goal, 1 assist. How about the goaltenders? Let's start with Edmonton again. Mike Smith made 19 saves on 25 shots. His night ended with a .760 save percentage. Mikko Koskinen played very well in relief coming in for Edmonton. He stopped 20 of 21 shots, and his night ended with a .952 save percentage. Not bad. Now for the Colorado Tendies. Darcy Kuemper made 13 saves on 16 shots. His night ended with an .813 save percentage, although he was not pulled for his performance in this game. Again, it was an upper body injury. Pavel Francouz came in relief, and he made 18 saves on 21 shots. He ended the night with an .857 save percentage. And even though Francouz had a sub-900 save percentage, he did play very well in relief when he came in. Yeah, there was that one goal where he was way too aggressive and Connor McDavid scored. But listen to the end of that. Connor McDavid scored. It's just what he does. But he came up with some massive stops. One with his toe? What is it with goaltenders and their toes? Maybe this is something that needs to be talked about more. You got Antti Ranta doing it, you got Igor Shesterkin doing it, and now you got Pavel Francouz doing it. Goalie toes, man. The MVPs of the playoffs so far. But he did play very well. And not only did he make some big saves like that one with his toe, but he made timely saves, especially some when Edmonton had their net empty. He made a few big stops to keep the Avalanche in the lead, and that led to Gabriel Landeskog getting that insurance goal to secure the win. And I've seen a lot of people talking on Twitter, and they were talking about it post-game. Do the Colorado Avalanche need to play differently if they're going to have to run with Francouz in net instead of Darcy Kuemper? Are they going to have to play more conservatively, lock down the defense a bit better? Which, God help me, I hope they play defense better than they have because they're breaking my brain. But for the most part, the Avalanche controlled this game. Now, Edmonton surely had their pushes and they scored a bunch of goals, 6 of them. But if the Avs can just clean up some mistakes here and there, then they will allow less goals and maybe they won't have to score 8. But people are talking about it as if this Colorado Avalanche team is living and dying by their goaltender in Darcy Kuemper and his amazing performances. And that hasn't been the case. Kuemper hasn't really stolen a game yet, and there's been many games where he hasn't come up with that timely stop, especially against St. Louis. Which is funny to say because they won that series only losing 2 games and they've only lost 2 games in the playoffs so far. But Darcy Kuemper came into this game 1 of the Western Conference Final with the worst save percentage of remaining goaltenders in the playoffs. So even if Pavel Francouz gives them average goaltending, that's already better than what they were getting. And that's not even a knock on Darcy Kuemper because he has come up with some very big stops for the Avs and he's really kept them in games and allowed them to fight back when they were down. But all I'm saying is it's not as big of a drop-off as people are making it out to seem with how Darcy Kuemper was playing in the playoffs so far. Is Kuemper the better goaltender? Yeah, probably. Is having to run with Pavel Francouz going to really hurt the Avalanche? Probably not. Especially if they can get their defensemen to play defense. But this is a very long video because there were a lot of goals scored in this game and a lot of stuff happened in this one, so I should probably wrap it up now because it is 1:11 a.m. and I still have to edit this. But it was a fun game tonight. There were a bunch of goals. There were a lot of pretty goals by the Avs, which are always great to see. Once again, I am obviously rooting for the Avalanche in this series, if you couldn't tell, since I am wearing the jersey and I wasn't rooting for Edmonton in the last round. But we are in the conference finals, and the Eastern Conference Finals kick off tomorrow. so I will have a video for those games as well. They might not be as crazy as the series out east, but we'll see what kind of damage the Rangers and the Lightning can do. Anyway, that's gonna be all from me in this one. How did y'all feel about this game? Please let me know down in the comments. And if you want to hear more from me or from Center Ice, you can head on over to FromCenterIce.com. There's links to all of the places you can find us over there. If you want to follow along on social media, you can do that. All of the links to those platforms are down in the description for you. All of that being said, thank you all so very much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. And if you're not subscribed to this channel yet, go ahead, do that. Give this video a like. That would make me happy. But anyway, get some rest after this wild game, and let's hope for a good one tomorrow. And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye, guys.